Hi, good evening, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. And I want to welcome those of you who are also on One Jamaica TV watching us tonight. We have a very interesting program lined up for you tonight. We're going to be talking with a very vocal vlogger, Mr. What we call him again, Mr. Sullpha. I've never spoken to him before in a live setting or anything like this, but he's going to be sharing with us some very interesting experiences he has had with the police, and how that's going at the moment, as well as some general thoughts he has concerning the state of affairs in the nation that we call Jamaica. We're going to kind of interrupt the program a little bit though, because we want to talk about, yeah, that thing went off. We want to talk about something tragic that happened, I think, yesterday or the day before. A family that lost just about everything in a fire. So we're going to be talking about that tonight, sharing with you close up what has happened to that family, and to ask for your input as we seek to address the situation. As you know, right across Jamaica, we're always susceptible to all kinds of challenges, be it fire or flooding or arson or murders and so on. So tonight we want to look at one family, quite a large family actually, and their experience. And I have in studio with me David Smith, who lives very close to the family. He's a UIC member, strong supporter who's working in that area, and he's going to bring to us what is going on there. We're also going to be joined by Mr. Kevin Nelson, another UIC member. I think these gentlemen are both prospective candidates as well. And I think he was on site as well with a number of other UIC members to console the family. So we're going to be talking with them. So I'm waiting for Sullpha to join us. He should be joining us anytime now. But in the meantime, I want to welcome these two gentlemen on stage and to talk with them about the tragic situation that happened. But before I do so, let me see if I can show you a few images of the place in question, so you can kind of see what the situation looks like on the ground. I got these footage from VP Powell, Jasmine Powell, who is the Vice President of the UIC, and she is Vice President for the County of Surrey. I'm trying to find the pictures here that were sent in by her, and I'm going to share them with you momentarily. You're going to see a number of UIC members in those footages, and we can talk about them when Mr. Smith comes on and Mr. Nelson joins us as well. So here we go. A few shots from the scene in Wildman Street, I believe. Yeah, Wildman Street. 1 second here. Share screen. All right, I hope you can see that very clearly. So that's one image of the burnt out property. As you can see, it's pretty much total. Yeah, everything has been burnt in this situation here. I'll show you a few more clips of the home, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to just tell us what we're looking at here. You see, that's Jasmine Powell speaking with one of the victims of this fire. There's Miss Jasmine Powell again, right there. That looks like maybe somewhere near to what might have been a kitchen. Here's Mr. Smith. Inside there's a wheelbarrow. They're trying to do some cleanup, it appears. Another image here of the lady looking quite distraught, and who wouldn't be? She has lost just about everything in this very, very tragic situation here. Here's another photo. I think that is General Secretary Ogarth, who is with VP Powell in that image. I think that is a gentleman, Mr. Lynch, Andrew Lynch, I think, there. But let me bring in our panelists now and let them tell us some more about what we're looking at here. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome, Mr. David Smith and Mr. Kevin Nelson. Mr. Smith, could you just briefly introduce yourself for us? Tell us where you're from.
I'm not hearing anything.
We can hear you, but you can't hear us. We can hear you. All right, Mr. Nelson, welcome, sir. Can you introduce yourself for us?
Thank you so much. My name is Kevin Nelson, a member of the UIC from the Northeast St. Andrew, and I'm happy to be here tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Sorry, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Smith, can you hear us now? Mr. Smith, can you hear us? We can't, well, it seems like you can't hear us at all there. All right, Mr. Nelson, you were on site when this whole thing happened. Not when it happened, but you went and tell us what happened. Give us your version of event in terms of what led you there and what you've seen.
Right. So, like other members of the UIC, I heard about the incident that happened, the fire that destroyed several homes, families, and other people. And when we got there, as expected, it was very, very, very painful to see the damage. Everything was cleared out. The whole, you could see remnants of furnitures being burnt and practically destroyed. And it was sad, but because it's always difficult when you experience and see things like this, people suffering and having loss and so much. But one of the things that inspired me and moved me was, despite the fact that they were enduring such a major loss, the look of strength in persons' faces, that spirit that was inside of them, wanting to fight, feeling the pain and wanting to fight, and it reminded me of the spirit of Jamaicans in general. And I was moved also by the UIC's willingness to go down there and to help in whatever way we could.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Smith, can you hear us now? Mr. Smith, can you hear us? I still can't hear. Yeah, I was when I got the call through VP Powell as to what transpired. I had to encourage us to immediately go on site. Fortunately or unfortunately, Mr. Smith was close by, so I could get a quick first-hand update as to what transpired. I want to get the specifics from him now on air, but I understand that pretty much the entire building was found engulfed in fire, and unfortunately the family could not save anything because of how rapidly the fire spread, they had to get out of the building. And I understand that the fire truck was on the scene in about 5 minutes, which is unheard of. So I want to say a big shout out and congrats to the fire operators out there. I don't know you personally, but I want to thank you on behalf of the Jamaican people for the speedy way in which you responded to the event. Mr. Smith and I were talking earlier, and he said it seemed as if it was a preemptive response, meaning it's like they kind of saw the smoke and just dash out and came to the area. He's not sure, that's just him guessing, but at the speed at which they came, it was just unbelievable that they would have responded so fast, and we're so happy for that, because what it meant is that the properties adjacent to this burnt building were spared, and the fire was moving so fast and so rapidly that even though they got there within 5 minutes, nothing was spared within that 8-bedroom dwelling, but everything beside them was spared the fire because of how effective and efficient the fire brigade responded. So a big congratulations to you, firemen. We really appreciate that. You have saved lives and you have saved properties, but our hearts and minds are with the family. I think a total of about, I was counting today, there's a Mr. Andrew Lynch, a Jennifer Lynch, which are the two primary, persons there. They have two daughters, two adult daughters, a son and his partner. They have a nephew, Rowan, and look like Tanya, I think, and her fiance, and the son has two children, two younger children. So we're looking at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or so persons who are now without anything. They have lost their home, they have lost their beds, they have lost their stove, lost their refrigerator, lost their furniture, lost their clothes, lost their documents. So you're talking about losing everything. So this family is completely destroyed and distraught. Thanks be to God, their lives are spared, but now their lives are upended because they have nothing at all. And so they're depending on us now, the generous people of Jamaica, to rise up and be able to give them some kind of support. So I'm appealing to all Jamaicans here at home and abroad right now to think about how you might be able to help this family. I want to share with you a video. Mr. Nelson and Mr. Smith, you can comment on this afterwards. This is Mr. Lynch himself, the matriarch of the family, if you will, who was just speaking briefly with Mr. Smith at the end of your visit to share his thoughts. You can tell that he is really in shock, but he's putting on a brave front. So let's hear what he had to say, because it will give us another perspective.
My name is Andrew Lynch. I'm from 64 Wildman Street. I had catch on fire and we lose everything. Everybody in the yard lose all their belongings and stuff.
And as you see, we the UIC people are here trying to give the family some assistance. So we are asking the diaspora and members of the public out there to contribute. No matter how little it is, it will make a difference to the Lynch family. This is Andrew Lynch and his sister Juliet and the rest of the family. They lost everything. And in this time hard already. And to start all over is a high hill. So let's just give them a hand. As Jamaican, our brother need help, so let's reach out. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so that was a heartfelt plea. Your thoughts, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, as I was saying before, I was really, really struck by the wonderful people that they are. The warmness, they greeted us with warmness. Imagine that they are in pain. They are experiencing this great loss, as you mentioned earlier. And but yet their spirit, it's funny because I was moved by the whole thing. The warmness of their spirit, how they greeted us, how they interacted with us. Like I said, you could tell that they were feeling pain, but nevertheless, you could see the willingness in them to fight on, and the strength. You could tell the strength from their souls, the strength from their faces, and it moved me and it compelled me. And I'm very happy that the UIC were reaching out. We reached out to them and that we are planning to help them, and we hope that many others will help them as well.
Right, so we're putting on screen here right now the account number for Miss Judith Small. She's, I think, a sister to Jennifer Lynch, I believe. I hope I'm correct. I wish Mr. Smith could connect with us to clarify. Shake your head if I'm correct, Mr. Smith, if you can hear. I think Judith Smith is, I know she's one of the household members, but she has a bank account at Scotia Bank at branch number 36525, account number 92036. I'm waiting for a telephone number for her. If I can get that number, I will put that on screen as well. So anyone who wants to help the family can just reach out, reach out directly, and you can deposit to this account here. Let me just see if I can get this number here. Mr. Mr. Smith, if you can get the number for me. Hi, Miss Powell. Any luck? Any luck with the telephone number?
I'm not hearing anything, The feed, I have a bad feedback.
Okay. Call Mr. Smith
You
for me
say,
because you can't hear us on the call. Call him for me so we can get the number from him. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to try to get the number from Miss Judith Small. Mr. Smith seems to not be able to hear us on the call, unfortunately. But you have the bank information here on screen. Judith Small, Scotiabank, branch 36525, account number 92036. Please, if you can, donate whatever you can to help the family. If you have in-kind stuff you'd like to give, maybe you have furniture, maybe you have a refrigerator, a stove, you can contact the UIC. I'll put our contact information here, if you will, if you want to contact us. I'd much rather you contact the family directly. That's why we're trying to give you their information, so you can just reach out to them directly and assist them. But
if you guys are hearing me, Mr. Patterson, you said we should comment on what Mr. As everyone can see, he is in a state of shock. You understand? And it's times like these we must remember our brothers and sisters and remember that we are one Jamaica, and that is what the UIC want to bring to the Jamaican public underneath Mr. Patterson leadership. So truly, I believe this is a great opportunity for us to show the love, the real love that is bedding down deep within us, you see me, and reach out to them and touch them, you see me, and try to give them a facelift. We know say we can put them right back up on them feet in just one moment, but give them a facelift and make them take it from there, because we are we are people who are hard fighting people. Sometimes we just need an helping hand for sure the strength within us. And I think this is the opportunity for us to reach out,
well said.
because the family need help.
Yeah. I mean, you might not be able to a whole lot, but whatever you can do, you might be able to send $1,000. You might be able to send 10,000.
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. I don't know. Sometimes the sound go up and down, but I'm not hearing you.
No problem.
And
That's
the
okay.
earpiece, it gives some different sound.
Okay, no problem. But I was just saying to our audience, it doesn't matter how much you can give, just give what you can. It might just be, a few dollars. Give what you can. We have some comments here in the comment section. I see Komodo saying blessed night to everyone. One UIC uplifting time now. Ronald Forbes saying good evening, Mr. Patterson. Good evening to you as well. Kirk saying good night, sir. Good night to you, Kirk. Hassan Blake, good to see you, Mr. Blake, a former treasurer of the UIC. Good to see you on. Malin Fletcher, good night to you as well. I see VP Powell is writing as well. Mr. Smith, we can hear you when you talk, but you can't hear us. Greetings to everyone from Miss Powell. Blue Wave says, bless up everyone. Hello, President Patterson, all UIC patriots. That Blast Scorpion CK19. Wonderful. Thanks to all of you who are online right now. Please, if you can, donate to this family and help them out as best as you can. I did have a video here that I want to share with you, and this was a quick response from Mr. David Smith on the ground the day when this was happening, and here he is.
Yes, the fireman them has done a wonderful job. Them save other yard from catching, you see me, and them out the fire. Even though a whole yard burned down flat, them response time to the fire was 5 minutes to be exact. You see me, and them do a wonderful job. Them contain the fire and finish do them job now. Make sure everything under control. You see me, do them reports and everything, and now them packing up and driving out. Understand? Them going home, going back to location. You see me, get everything.
Yeah, I had to show you that because it's really a very quick response from Mr. David Smith himself on the ground there. And this is Central Kingston. If you know, Central Kingston is the heart of Kingston, Jamaica. Incidentally, that's where I was born. I was born down at a road called Blake Road, which is just a little bit down the bottom there. Along Beeston Street, you go down Beeston Street to the east side, and Blake Road is there. And Wildman Street is just nearby as well as Church Street, which is intersecting with Wildman Street. And you have just up the top on the western side is Kingston Technical High School. So I know the area quite well, and somewhere I grew up as a boy. It's a tough area. It's a rough area. It's been quite volatile not just in recent times, but again in recent times. So, the people there have a long tradition of being among the suffering population of this country. And so, when you see them lose everything like this, it's a really big deal. These people don't have insurance coverage and all them kind of stuff there. So when there's a fire like this, everything is gone. Every single thing is gone. And they're starting from zero. And they're not young people. I mean, like the matriarch and the patriarch, they're not young people. So it's a major blow to their own, financial stability. Losing your house is the worst thing that could ever happen to you, to lose your house. That's shelter over your head. And they have lost the house. They have lost their clothing. They have lost their furniture. They have lost whatever belongings they had in that premises. They've lost, family heirlooms, pictures, everything that, you hold dear to yourself. They have just lost all of that. And so we're begging you to really, if you can, give anything, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. If you're fortunate enough and can give $1 million or $2 million, don't hesitate. The number is on the screen. Judith Small at Scotiabank, branch 36525, account number 920316. And I'm hoping I can get a telephone number for you. It's really good if we could get a telephone number. This is really unfortunate. Yeah, they're still not able to reach anyone to get the telephone number. Mr. Smith, can you hear me? I don't know. Can you hear me? Are you able to get even Mr. Lynch's number for us? I think we really messed up there where we got just the banking information, but not a telephone number from the person to send out. That's quite unfortunate. Let me check on the... hi, Claudia. Good to see you on, Claudia Barrett. Yeah, but could maybe somebody that's watching knows the family. Can you get a telephone number for us and send that in? Just text it in anywhere there, okay? I will give you the UIC contact so you can reach out to us on the UIC contact if you will. I put this at the bottom here. So our number is there, 876-293-0812. You can reach us, but we would much rather if you were able to donate directly to the family and take it from there. All right, so I'm going to let you go now, Mr. Smith, since you can't really connect with us on here. And Mr. Nelson will continue the show here. I was hoping to hear from Mr. Sullpha by now, but I'm not seeing him at all. So while we're waiting for him to come, I'll just show you a few more pieces of the damaged area in question. So you can see the house is fully burnt out. Nothing is left. Even the walls you see standing will have to be broken down because the structural integrity of the walls would have now been severely compromised. And so the whole structure will have to be demolished, cleared out, and then something rebuilt for the family there. I don't know how much they can, recover from this. Do you have any construction knowledge, Mr. Nelson?
Well, I'm not an expert, but what I can say, and sometimes usually right away, it's very difficult to determine the cause of a fire right away. Usually in situations like these, oftentimes it could be wiring and so on. But what I do know, just from being on the ground today, looking at the situation, we noticed that there were a couple gas cylinders that were there, and so the inclination is something started the fire, but the gas cylinders getting caught up in the fire would have escalated the situation and have made it worse. So, as I said, I'm not an expert, but usually, from past experience of hearing about these things and talking to electricians and so forth, sometimes wiring can be the issue. So I know that when we were down there and we were speaking with the family, Judith and her husband and so on, they were looking now at ways in which, when they rebuild, what can they do now to make the situation better? I think Judith had mentioned that her desire was to have a slab roof instead of the zinc and so on. And so already they're looking towards how to improve the situation. It was such a delight and such a joy to see such wonderful people and the warmness inside of them and their spirit, as I mentioned before, willingness to fight on.
Yeah.
Just how we came and just genuinely wanted to help. There were other people there too, friends and family who were volunteering and stuff like that, and it was quite inspirational. That's how the spirit of Jamaica and Jamaicans should be. Everybody helping everybody just for the sake of helping. So that was interesting.
Right. Let's hear again from Mr. Lynch himself while we're waiting for Sullpha to join us.
Andrew Lynch, I'm from 64 Wildman Street. I had catch on fire. I will lose everything. Everybody in the yard lose all their belongings and stuff.
And as you see, we the UIC people are here trying to give. So we are asking the diaspora and member of the public out there to contribute. No matter how little it is, it will make a difference to the Lynch family. This is Andrew Lynch and his sister Juliet and the rest of the family. They lost everything. And in this time hard already. To start all over is a high hill. So let's just give them a hand. As Jamaican, our brother need help, so let's reach out. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so I like what Mr. David Smith, said that time is hard. I mean, many Jamaicans are struggling right now financially.
I don't know if you guys are hearing me. You're hearing me? Okay. I'm not hearing anything, but I want to share an incident presently happening right around me. It's like you have a freak storm, a high wind with lightning and thunder, a clap right now. Take a look. I'm going to see where I go on. That suddenly I go on right now, down this side. You see me? I don't know if it's a freak storm I talk about, but I'm not hearing you guys, but I see you are sure and nothing. But what I want to see, we planned
cake sale for to help out
Team of the fire. Coming this next week Saturday, we're planning. So it's a fundraiser we're going to have where we want to put together and make some money reach them in and where them can get themselves together because them lost everything. And
Mm-hmm.
if you lost everything, that means it's all the way up when you're back you have. Right, or where anybody would say, all right, here my friend.
Exactly,
I mean, so
exactly.
I want you, Mr. Patterson, I want you to let them know that we're planning a fundraiser come not this Saturday, next week Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
from
next week Saturday, a fundraiser, a big
10 in the
sale,
morning
10 in the morning at where is it going to be? I can't really hear me still, but
until
yeah. So 10 in the morning next, not this Saturday coming, but the following Saturday, you're going to have a big sale. But people, anything you can do, anything you can give. Call the number there, 876-293-0812. Maybe you have
But I'm
some stuff
not
you can
hearing
donate.
anything at all.
Maybe you have some clothing, some furniture you want to donate to the family. Maybe you can't do the bank deposit, and for whatever reason you need some kind of help to get that thing to them. Just call the number there, 87. In fact, WhatsApp the number. That's better, so we can get back to you. If they call, you might not get somebody right away. So just WhatsApp something and say, here's what I'd like to do for the fire victims, and let us know. But if you can, just go to the bank, Scotiabank, or do a bank transfer to Scotiabank to Judith Small at 36525 branch number and account number 920316. All right, so that's it for now, folks. That's all for this segment. I am not seeing Mr. Sullpha. I'm not sure what has happened to him. Let me make a quick call here again and see if I can get an update on his whereabouts, what's happening there. 1 second here. Hi, Miss Powell. Sorry to bother you again. Any update from our good friend Sullpha? Nothing at all. So you're not able to reach him. All right, call one more time and see if we can get him, and then send me a message so what the status is, because otherwise we have to move on from that. All right, thank you. All right, so Mr. Nelson, while we're here, let's talk about what's happening in Jamaica right now. No, I'm going to take this off screen right now, and I want to share with our viewers something interesting that happened in the news. Did you hear about this matter of a new law coming into effect whereby parents will be responsible for their children up to the age of 23 years old? I couldn't believe what I'm hearing, and I thought it was a fake news. I couldn't believe that it was true news. And then I got a video from TVJ where they made it very clear that not only the government has proposed and is passing this new law into effect, it has the full support of His Royal Majesty's opposition. And I say that in a sarcastic manner because we should not have any government in Jamaica which is His Royal Majesty. But unfortunately, and what should I say, disturbingly and insultingly and destructively, we have a government which is His Royal Majesty's government and not the government of the people of Jamaica. We should be sick to our stomach to even hear these things. But I gather that the Jamaican people are quite happy with that arrangement, because I don't see us, doing anything aggressively to end this kind of monarchical, colonial, despicable system of governance in Jamaica. But nevertheless, here's the news item that I want to share with us, and I'm going to try to see if I can get this up on screen here. 1 second, and hopefully, let me see, share screen, where it is. Here we go. Yeah, so the news, of course, first of all, talked about.
At your 60s, do this.
I can hear this.
In this app, a personalized plan of.
So they're going to talk about a few things in the news, some firearms that were seized, and then we'll get to the matter of the 23-year-old child that we're now supposed to have as our parental responsibility.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Freak storm hit fishing village in Hanover. And later in sports, Olympic opening ceremony to be held this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. Over in St. Elizabeth, the Black River Police arrested 2 men and a firearm seized. They were nabbed as the lawmen conducted a routine operation along the Holland Main Road last night.
A white Toyota Noah traveling in a westerly direction was signaled to stop. The driver complied, and during a search of the vehicle, 1 Heritage Rough Ride pistol, 3 live rounds, and 3 spent casings were found in the engine compartment of the vehicle. 2 men from Hanover addresses were taken into custody pending further investigations. This firearm seizure brings to 19 since the start of 2024.
One man.
So before we move on to the next item of the news, I want to make a comment about this issue of firearms in Jamaica, and tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nelson. Supposing the Jamaican government, are you with me, Mr. Nelson? You seem to have gone dark. Can you hear me, Sir Nelson? Did I lose you? Well, it looked like I lose him. But I was going to say, I've noticed that we seem to have a problem with illegal guns in Jamaica, a very big problem, for years now. And I wonder, why do we have an army if we can't use the army to properly patrol our borders and manage our customs so that we can reduce the influx of guns into the country and have a greater control over that? Because if you deny the gangs the guns and ammunitions and dry up the supply by having our army, which is just sitting there. They're just sitting there, right? And sometimes we use them for the wrong purposes of police work, as opposed to having the army focus on, what it should, which is to protecting our borders, right? So my point is, why not have the army take over our border properly and control every inch of our borders? So take them out of upper camp and have them not in the streets dealing with civilians on a daily basis like they're now being misused for, but have them operate on the perimeter of the country and to pretty much lock down the country like a sardine when it comes to illegal guns and ammunitions coming in and going out. That would be really, really a very, very effective and useful way of deploying our army. But let's continue with the news of the day and comment some more on this.
Man is dead following a vehicular collision last night at the intersection of East Street and Wharf Road in Morant Bay, St. Thomas. He has been identified as 24-year-old Shamar Murray, a businessman of Danvers Spence District in the parish. He was the passenger in the vehicle. Information from the police are that Nakane Brown, a businessman of Springfield District, was driving a silver 2014 Toyota Hiace motor van along Wharf Road when he lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a wall. The vehicle immediately exploded and caught fire. Mr. Murray, who was traveling in the vehicle, was trapped inside and burnt to death. The driver was able to jump from the burning bus.
Wow. Mr. Smith, we lost you there earlier on. when we're talking about the issue of illegal guns and firearms. I don't know if you heard my comments. Did you?
No, because the freak storm, it seems like it's outside my door as well. So it took out my internet for a couple seconds there.
Yeah, you're not the only one. There's Mr. Smith spoke about it. I don't know if he can connect with us anymore. I'll try him again. But the freak storm seems to be going from place to place because earlier today it happened in areas up here as well. But to my point earlier on, Mr. Nelson, I was asking if you think we're using our army effectively. My proposal, the UIC's proposal, has always been to focus the army on its true mission, which is to patrol and monitor and control our borders, including customs, so that we don't have this easy influx of illegal firearms and ammunition. My idea is that this would really reduce the supply of guns and ammunition on our streets and therefore reduce gun violence and give the police the upper hand again because the criminals will not have access to all of this. What are your thoughts on that?
I want to throw something back out at you, Mr. Patterson. First of all, without a doubt, I agree. The use of the army. Ironically, just today I was having a conversation about this. The use of the army definitely needs to be a little bit more effective. There were times gone by in which the army was used in a more of an effective way versus today. However, I want to throw something back out to you, Mr. Patterson. Even before we consider extended use of the army, I think we have to get rid of the corruption in the politics and the corruption in our government. What do you say?
Well, everything that we're talking about, the UIC, begins with the government. You see, once you have a corrupt government, nothing else works. Once you have a corrupt system of governance, it doesn't matter what you do with your police, what you do with your army, what you do with your schools, what you do with your banking system. Corruption compromises everything in your country. And that is why the UIC has made good governance the cornerstone of our platform and our policy. By fixing the system of governance, you create the platform for fixing everything else. Because I'll give you a quick thing here. If you're losing billions of dollars every year to corruption, you can't use it on fixing our school system to give us the best and brightest students. You can't use it on fixing our healthcare system in making the nation healthy. You can't use it on building our farming infrastructure so that our farmers are more productive. So as long as you have the leakage of corruption siphoning off billions of dollars away from where it should go, you're undermining every other institution. One of Jamaica's biggest problems is that because people are not paid well, you create criminals easily because people want to enjoy a decent standard of living. And so when they go to work, back work and home every day, they find themselves living on the margins, meaning they can't see where they're making any headway. Their minds are going to drift away from their productive task to finding other things to do that is going to augment their income. So you hire a man to drive your bus, he's not going to drive your bus. He's going to look for where he can thief from you. Thief gas, thief by not giving you all the money collected through fares. So there's always going to be a way. If you hire him in your shop, him going to work, but his mind going to start to drift away from the work and him start to look if him can hide some things in a corner, and when the evening comes, going to leave with it to augment his grocery bill or whatever. So as long as you have a very corrupt society, you're corrupting the minds of your people and you're destroying them in every which way. I'm just saying, though, just to understand building out the entire infrastructure, one of the things is to make sure the army is doing its proper job, which is being trained and deployed to protect your borders. I see them have soldiers going into community. That's very bad. You don't want that. It means your community has failed when the army has to come into your community. The army is not trained to deal with the community. The army is trained to deal with combat. The army is trained to deal with espionage. The army is trained to deal with peripheral matters of protecting your collective sovereignty. The police should be trained now to deal with internal matters, civilian to civilian matters, and resolving those. Once the army is brought in, it means there's a complete breakdown in society, And that's what we're seeing in Jamaica. Our government has lost a grip on managing the affairs of the nation. And so, that's why I mentioned about the army. Your thoughts?
No, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm a system person, so I believe in systems, and I believe that systems can work. And without a shadow of a doubt, I share those views and I share those values, and I believe in that strongly. I will forever be concerned about the hierarchy and the command in the army and so on, because the army have a commander, it has an hierarchy and so on. And another one of my concern would be kind of like decentralization or reducing the power of the government with regards to this. That becomes difficult because the government is very much in charge of the nation's defense system and so on. And so it's difficult to say separate the government from the army itself. However, I'm concerned about the command of the army and whose instruction and is he or following.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's another matter altogether. But I see a comment here from someone, Jojoya _123, heard on a Jamaican vlog that guns are being brought into the country assisted by a particular government persons. They locked us down for COVID, but can't find the strength to do this for guns import. Very true. I mean, we have a prime minister right now and a government backed by an opposition that was very, very draconian on the people of Jamaica when it comes on to a supposed virus. They lock us down like sardine. They contained us in some very draconian ways that destroyed or handicapped many small businesses while they allowed big business full operations. But they can't lock down gunmen in Jamaica. And every time they say they're going to lock down gunmen, all they do is go into a community, lock down the community, mistreat the poor, mistreat the young boys, in those communities and treat them bad, drag them up and lock them up in a lockup without any proper charges, and cause them to even lose them jobs sometime and mess up their whole life and affairs, and then lift the sanctions later on, and nothing has changed. We're still back to the square one. So when the Prime Minister started this state of emergency and ZOZO policy, back then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, that is the wrong way to go, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to cause the criminals to set up branches in other parishes. So when you start to lock down areas like that, you're simply moving them around the country. They're going to become more familiar with St. Elizabeth, more familiar with Westmoreland, more familiar with Anova, more familiar with Trelawney. And what you're going to have now are branch operations of what used to be contained, let's say, in Central Kingston or West Kingston or wherever it is. You're now going to move them, or if they were in Montego Bay, you're going to move them. And that's what has happened. We now have a larger franchise network of criminal operatives across the country. And on top of that, you have ministers of government who many people know are highly involved in criminal activities. Ministers, they have a reputation. People know them. People have seen them. People have reported on them within the unofficial circles. And so you have people who are of a criminal past who you're now putting in charge of trying to manage crime. Yeah. So they don't have the moral authority. They don't have the confidence of those they're trying to serve, but yet still we have them in very senior position, to solve a problem. But Ms. Powell here makes a point I want us to make sure we don't miss. She says the cake sale will be at the Lynch family location. So that is 64 Wildman Street, Mr. Smith. So 64.
Yes. It will be held at 64 Wildman Street, right at the little above the corner, little below the corner of Charles Street.
Okay, so little below the corner of Charles Street, 64 Wildman Street. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Let me tell you what date is that. Let me check and tell you the exact date of that. It's going to be on the 3rd of August, which is the day after my birthday. So whatever you're going to give me for my birthday present, don't give it to me. Give it to the Lynches. Yeah? So if you're going to give me something for my birthday on the 2nd of August, just hold on on it and carry it to 64 Wildman Street, and give it to the people there on the 3rd of August. So good. And what else? Let me see here. Jojo said 50% Amber taxi service just got bought out by a foreigner. This is why they wanted to kill off the independent taxi service. Now, guys, this is a very important statement Jojo is making. You may not realize what's going on in Jamaica, but the corruption is so bad that the government is used to create economic outcomes to benefit some people at the advantage or at the disadvantage of other people. Did you know that?
Of course, for sure.
Yeah. So if a person wants certain advantages to be created for them and they have muscles within the government, they can use that government to create certain economic advantages for them. It might mean even destroying an entire industry. It might mean putting thousands of Jamaicans out of jobs, just to create an environment so that one person or a group of persons can benefit. Go ahead, Mr. Nelson, you can comment on that.
Yeah. And before that, I just want to go back a little bit to your former point about the army and so. One thing I can note with regards to the point you were making is perhaps we need to demand greater expectations from the use of our army, and we need to lay out what exactly are those expectations that we can bring to perhaps while we continue to deal with a corrupt government and corrupt governments for sure. With regards to the point you made recently, and I think this is where Jamaica needs a change for sure, because the situation have gotten so horrible that it's almost as if, I mean, like, I don't want to say that we are no longer demanding that accountability from the government, but it's almost as if what happens when you discover early cancer cells in the body. If you don't deal with it right away, the situation is just chaos and chaos and chaos continues to happen. And I think that's the situation that we're in Jamaica right now, where these things that you are mentioning can happen and happen right under the radar, under our eyes, without us being able as a people to say you must be crazy. This is madness. So I think for sure, this is where Jamaica really needs a change and needs that change right now. Now is the time for that. I think you're muted, Mr. Patterson. I think you're muted.
They have created the perfect environment to maintain the problem you're talking about. If you look at what they've done with our education system, they have created an environment where too many Jamaicans are in fact dunce. And I hate to use the word, I struggle to use the word, but it is so real. Because they're able to get away with just about anything. It's very difficult for you to communicate with the rest of the nation in a way that results in them taking action. We have become very lethargic. We now just share videos all day long. So we all sit around and we watch videos from Africa, from other countries, vloggers in Jamaica, and we have now become just a sharing generation. We're just sharing aimlessly. Well, not aimlessly, because we're sharing because we want change, but we're not doing the things for the change to come. We're sharing in the way that they want us to share. When back in slavery, right, the reason they gave us religion and they paid or sponsored pastors to teach us a certain version of religion. For example, for us to be obedient to our masters. So our masters, who are our enemies from slavery to now, the masters were our enemies. They control our food. They decide what we're going to eat. They controlled our clothing, what we're going to wear. They control our living, where we're going to live. They control our freedom, to what extent we can do anything. You know, the master decided, can you marry or not? The master decided, Would your family say, so, but that has continued with us, and it taught us to say that you must kind of pray and grin and bear it. And behind the master back, you may complain about it, but you're not going to do nothing about it. You're just going to complain. And so today, we're doing the same thing as if we were slaves 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 200 years ago. We're still, we will share all the TikToks and all the YouTube videos, but we won't really do anything. And what we do then is we hope and we pray for something to come. Some people will get to the place where they will say, I'll leave it to God. Yeah. And if they see another country doing so, they say they can do, but we can't do it. Jamaica gone, Jamaica hopeless. We can't do it. We can't get anywhere. We can't do anything. And so that is a serious mental problem there. And it comes back to those who have controlled our education system. They have created a generation of people who will do anything but stand up for their rights fully. I was very, very impressed with the fact that some people here in Northeast St. Elizabeth and in Westmoreland stood up because they weren't getting any water and any electricity. Even now, in my community here, the people of Northeast St. Elizabeth in areas like Braze River and Elam and Bogue still don't have electricity, still don't have water since July 3rd until now. So if you're not fortunate like me to have been able to put in a proper internet, solar system, and to put in alternate internet and to build water reservoirs and capture water, if you weren't able to do that, and there are not too many Jamaicans who are in the financial position to have done that in time for this kind of situation, then you're stuck. You can't, you're living in a very miserable, it's hot, it's sticky, you can't turn on, there's no fan to turn on, and you can't get a good shower. You have to go down to the river somewhere, find a river somewhere, and if you can get there and bathe, and you have all your food spoiled in your refrigerator, of course, long time, and you can't get even a piece of ice easily to have something cool. So we have some serious problems. But I want to comment back on the taxi driver situation. All the gimmicks, all the pains that taxi drivers have been suffering and struggling with is because somebody wants to rearrange the industry to suit a few people. So they pressure them with excessive ticketing, with conflicting and confusing rules and regulations, with a burdensome court system, and you pressure them until you can now move the situation to consolidate ownership of certain franchises under one man or a few people and so on. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. One of the things though is that I agree with you in terms of what behind the scenes they are trying to do, and they understand in a very funny way. They understand the power that these taxmen have with regards to a connection to the people, with regards to the fulfilling a need that the people have for transportation, and that is why they kind of go a little bit secretive about it, and to me that hurts. It hurts because I think governance, without a doubt, should be about truly caring for the needs of people. And I see it. I'm on the road every day. I see it every day. I see the taximen being stopped, being harassed, and so they sort of fell into this culture where, okay, the police, Babylon is on me. Sometimes let me give him a thing. Sometimes this, sometimes that. So the whole system gets ridiculous. And I think this is where the Jamaican people need to wake up and do something to change this. You're muted again, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you so much for that. I said yes, and we're trying to do something. Jojo said government creates more criminals when they take away the taxi drivers' jobs, the farmers' lands, the tourist vendors' jobs, They create criminals this way when people have no means to buy food or food for their family. I'll tell you a story. I went to court yesterday in Maypen. I went to court for a traffic ticket. Now, this ticket has been outstanding for nearly 3 years. Unknown to me. I didn't know I have a ticket outstanding for 3 years. The reason I found out about this ticket being outstanding is because I lost my driver's license, couldn't find it. And so I went to the police and I reported it, as I'm required to do. And then I went across to the tax office in Santa Cruz and I paid $3,000 or so to get a replacement license and waited for about 2 or 3 weeks for that to come through. I didn't get a call, so I went back to the tax office and asked, what's the status? And they said, oh, glad you're here. You can't get a replacement license because you have 2 tickets outstanding. I said, whoa, what is that? I don't know about that. They said, well, you have to go sort it out. So they sent me to Black River. So I drove all the way to Black River to go sort it out. I went to Black River, wasted the day. They said to me, oh, and a year so you for come. 1 ticket is in Spanish Town and 1 ticket is in Maypen. So that's where you have to go. So find another day and go to Spanish Town, another day and go to Maypen. Maypen said, what did they say again? You have to come to night court to deal with that. When is night court? You have 1 this Thursday and 1 next Thursday, every Thursday at 5 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll go to the 1 next Thursday because I have an appointment for something else this Thursday. So I went, which is Thursday gone, yesterday. When I went to them, they said, oh, we're trying to call you, but we couldn't get you. I checked my phone. I said, there's no call on my phone. Anyway, we're trying to call you because we can't find your ticket. You have to come back. Come back again, or call back in 2 weeks and see when the system up, maybe we can find it. Now remember, a people life this, okay? Notice how many days I have missed now, right? The police, the Santa Cruz tax office 1 time, Santa Cruz tax office 2 times, Black River, we're on the other side, then travel to Maypen, travel to Spanish Town, and Maypen said now to come back the next Thursday. We come back the next Thursday, and now we must go call again. My wife has been calling even before we went, because my wife is very meticulous. So she called even before we got there. She can't get anybody on the phone. This is a government phone, isn't it? It's a government phone. Can't get nobody on the phone, right? So we physically have to take time off and drive from here in St. Elizabeth all the way to Maypen, only to get, and wait, but you go there, by the way, and wait. And the court must start at 5 o'clock. Court must start until 5:30. No apologies to the people who came. The police just come and they behave like the people are slaves and they're overlords, and they treat you with such scant regards. I saw the people, the place, water running on the floor. You're sitting in water. There's no bathroom facility. They lock up the air are lock up. So even though people come there for 5 o'clock, you come at 5, leave work if you're so lucky to have work, and you come there at 5 o'clock and there's no bathroom facility for you because the person the night officer, as they call him or her, that should be there, isn't there, and that area is locked off. So there's no bathroom facility for all these people who are waiting for court. This is Jamaica we're talking about here, I want you to understand how little regard our government have for us. We are like slaves to them. So got there at 5. We got there before 5 because you know how it is. You have to try and get there early and see if we can get through early. You stand up now and wait, and they come out. We're going to call your name. When you hear your name, go over there, sir. And they start to read out the name. And as you're going through the name, they look at you and say, you're not dressed right. You can't go in a court. You person have on a pants. Some people have the cut-up jeans pants, which is fashionable. When they give you the ticket, give you the request, or the demand to come to court. They don't tell you, say, you can only wear this. Now, of course, I never go to court looking anything like that. You know, I go to court looking like somebody that is very serious about life and work and whatever. But you can't control what people wear, so to speak. People wear what they want to wear, you know. So people come, some people have on their sweatpants, and them don't know better. They're coming to court, them know what happened to court, some of them, right? Some have on their cut-up jeans pants. First, some have on slippers. And they start to dismiss people. You can't come in because you have this, you have that, you have this. But it's just how they do it. And there's no sign that tells you up at the thing what is the situation. When you come in, you can see it and say, you can't go in a court looking like that or whatever. But it's just how they treat the people. So anyways, that is the situation for my Maypen ticket. And by the way, what happened is I missed a step. When I got that ticket 3 years ago, I went to the Maypen court and I was there from, court starts at 10. I was there from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. That's a full work day. I never got called or anything. And so when I went and inquired what is what, they said, oh, we can't find your ticket on the thing, so we'll call you. 3 years later, your name is not on the list, so we will call you. 3 years later, I am now there because they never called me and I moved on with life and didn't remember. Okay, you know, you get the ticket, you get it, they'll call you, go home, you put it down, you go on about your business because we're not here waiting on the court system to follow up with us. 3 years later now, I'm now going through and it's days upon days upon days upon days upon days now, right? Losing 8 hours here, losing 8 hours there. Drive, you know, to go in, it's traffic, it's gas, it's wear and tear in the vehicle. The road them bad, you're dropping in potholes. I mean, from here to Maypen, you're going to encounter a minimum of 20 to 30 potholes. Yeah, from here to Maypen, it's a minimum of 20 to 30 potholes. You see accidents on the roads, many of them are caused by potholes. Life in this country is very stressful because you are stressed out by grills, you're stressed out by the potential of criminals who are out of uniforms and criminals who are in uniforms. You're stressed out by a court system that is inefficient and ineffective. You're stressed out by not being able to find quality employees if you're an employer, not being able to find quality work if you're an employee, not being able to get good salaries if you're an employee, not being able to get highly productive output from your staff if you're an employer, excessive light bill. So all kind of stresses. And on top of it, you have a government that does not care, a system that does not care about the citizens of the country. And so that's it for my Maypen ticket. For my Spanish Town ticket now, here's the beauty of that one. All of what I told you before applies to that ticket as well, except that when I went to court, that one now was 5 years ago. Did you hear me? 5 years ago. When I went to court and they called me up, they said, this ticket is canceled. No issues. After wasting the entire day, so I'm gone. But oh no, sorry, not that. I actually paid the ticket, but it wasn't registered in the system. And I go back to court again to say, listen, but this ticket was paid. Now, when you hear taximen talking about this kind of experience, and they have many more tickets than me, right? This is what they go through. So it is a very painful and destructive system. And Jojo is saying it here, it creates criminals. Because what happened now? People, to avoid all of this, are quick to pay bribes. Yeah? It's easier for you to pay, let's say a policeman stop you and go and give you a ticket for $5,000 and now 2 demerit points or whatever, right? You go pay the ticket for $5,000 and done, move on. That's the quickest thing to do. But let's say you really felt as though you were not wrong and you want to defend yourself. It's going to cost you way more than $5,000. Yeah. So this is a tax grab. The government is using the power of the state the draconian powers of the state to coerce you into just paying the $5,000 ticket, then go to court, because the cost of going to court, the suffering and pain of going to court is so high that this 5,000 is smaller. Now, suppose you can just pinch the police officer at 2,000 or at 3,000 and save the other 2,000, because there are many persons, for whom 5,000, even if them driving a car, 5,000 is still a whole heap of money. So if they can pay the police officer a $2,000 or a $3,000, slide him something, that is still better than them paying the fine, or worse, going to court. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to speak here, Mr. Nelson, but how do we hold the government accountable for them now failing to deliver quality roads? We must have fit vehicles. We have to have our vehicles fit and proper. We have to be fully registered. We have to have our insurance. We have to have our license, because if we fail in any of those things, they will come with a big heavy hammer, and we're going to pay. No, we're going to pay right now. The consequences are lose our license and lose our livelihood, right? We the people. But they can leave major thoroughfares full of potholes. If you leave where I live right now in Northeast St. Elizabeth and turn left on the main road, and so you're heading to Mandeville, you're going to have to keep your eyes very peeled to watch out, because you're going to drop into some massively deep potholes. Sometimes they're small, they might be this wide, but deep. So when you drop into that, that's a serious bill you're waiting for. And if you're unfortunate as some, you have a blowout tire and have to waste time and energy now to fix that. Buy a new tire for $13,000. Pay somebody to do the work that's necessary. Maybe your shocks have been broken. Maybe a tire rod has been damaged. Maybe your front end has been damaged. So every day, the Jamaican people are being taxed immeasurably by the bad road. And then at the same time, you have the police on you. They can stop you. When I'm coming from Mandeville to my place here, you have a stretch where they say it's 50. If you drive 50 on that road, you're literally crawling like a snail. And then suddenly when you get to another part of the road, it changes to 80. Now, the part which is 80 don't make sense to be 80. That's where it should be 50, because you have more public passenger, public people in that area because of the housing structures and whatever. And the part where it's 50 should be 80 because there's not much people there. So these contradictory and conflicting designs, poor designs across the country, and they're there simply to trap you. Your government is in the business of trapping you, taxing you, extracting from you, making your lives miserable while claiming that they are the government. Now, I've said a lot. Your turn.
Well, definitely there's a lot of psychological abuse there. You can definitely see that. The system itself was not designed with the people in mind. Now, we throw slogans out there for the people, with the people, you know what I mean, and so on and so on. But it's all words. It's all political slangs to gain and maintain power itself. And, in addition to just making it clear through the UIC that we've had enough, and no longer will we take this abuse from you, government and government's whipmen, such as the police force and so on. No longer will we tolerate this anymore. We are doing something about it, and you're going to hear from us soon. While that is happening, just make sure that you're driving. You make sure you're checking everything. Make sure that you are making your case as solid as possible. I know it's very difficult. We are going to get rid of this current system that we have through the UIC, and we're going to build a better Jamaica, a one Jamaica, and so on. But in the meantime, just check your car, make sure they don't have nothing that they can put on you. Drive carefully, do your best, the best that you can, and revenge is nice. Have it up to them that we are going to show you who really have the power, and the power is the people.
We have to close off now, but I want to respond, and there are lots of comments here. I want to respond. Can you hear me clearly, Mr. Nelson? Because somebody was saying I need to be closer to the mic. I want to respond to a person by the name of Vibe with Trisha. She says, where is Sullpha? Why are you clickbaiting? Do you know what clickbaiting means, Mr. Nelson?
Yes, I do.
Are we clickbaiting here, sir?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
I would encourage persons not to draw these despicable conclusions. We're not clickbaiting. We have an appointment scheduled with Mr. Sullpha to be on the call. In fact, he was a part of the process of setting up this interview here tonight. He was very excited to be on the program. He had a very good conversation with Miss Powell, VP Powell, and it was arranged for him to be on the call here tonight. I don't know why he's not here. I hope I'll hear from him soon. I hope he's okay. I hope his family's okay. We know that he's in a situation right now with the courts and the police and so on. So we don't know what is going on there. But for some reason, he's not reachable tonight. I saw a message earlier on from Miss Powell telling me that she's trying to reach him and she's not able to reach him. So I hope I'll hear from him very soon. We're not going to be able to have him tonight. We're going to be closing off now. But please do not insinuate those things. The UIC don't play those kind of games. We don't believe in clickbaiting or anything like that. I see Miss Paul responding here. She says, at Vibe with Treasure, no clickbait. The UIC don't need to do that. The guest had confirmed to be on the program. Thank you, Miss Powell. Quickly going through the list here. From the bottom up, I see Miss McFarlane. We need to go on the street and protest and show the government who has the real power. McFarlane, I'm tired of the protesting, where we go on the street and protest. I'm tired of that, honestly. I want us to do something much, much more effective than that. It's very simple. It's on the bottom of the screen. Join, volunteer, and donate to UIC Jamaica. Just imagine if tomorrow the government woke up and 500,000 Jamaicans have joined the UIC. 500,000 of us have joined the UIC. 500,000 of us are volunteering to elect UIC candidates. 500,000 of us are donating $250 a week or $1,000 a month so that the UIC is in a very strong and dominant position to effect the changes that we're talking about. It's time for us to wake up, my friends. Let us stop dreaming and wishing and hoping for a better Jamaica. Let us make a better Jamaica. And the only way to do that is for us to join, volunteer, and donate, for us to become one together as a team and show the two colonial parties that we are actually ready and we mean business. And they know that we don't mean business as a people if we don't come together. If we don't join the UIC and let them see the numbers, there's 500,000 strong Jamaicans who have joined this movement, who are volunteering every day to make sure the message is going out. The CVM can't stop we. TVJ can't stop we. Gleaner can't stop we. Observer can't stop we. PSOJ can't stop we. No matter how much money them have, they can't stop we if we come together as a powerful organization, as the People's Party, because we believe in the manifesto, we believe in the policies, we believe in the plans of the UIC. If we decide to do that, there's no stopping us. But as long as we are begging them to do us a favor by protesting, we want justice, all they do is wait us out because we're hungry. We have to go back to work. But if we form an organization, if we become organized now, so when we speak, they have to listen. Because they say, hold on, a 500,000 them we're talking about, When them choose to strike, if they choose to strike, everything shut down because of 500,000 of them. But we go out there and strike and it's just 20 away, 30 away, 40 away. They just laugh. So the real protest now that we want, here's what your protest now. You go to uicjamaica.com and you say, may I join the movement right now? That's protest number one. Then you click and say, me want to donate for do this, whatever it is. I want to join fundraising committee. I want help with campaigning. I want help with whatever activity. That's number two. That's protest number two. And then protest number three now, every week you put aside 250 Jamaican dollars if you're here in Jamaica. If you're abroad, put aside 250 US. You must can find $2.50 US or $5 Canadian or £1 if you're in Britain. And every month you say this may I send to the UIC at a minimum. So now you have a movement of 500,000 Jamaicans a yard and 500,000 Jamaicans abroad. 1 million away. 1 million strong. And every single month, we are combining our little bit of money in a small amount so that we can buy ads, put up billboard, buy bus, buy all the stuff we need, have gas, data, internet connection, office, refreshment for staff and volunteers. And so when we move now, I don't know, full move. I don't know, they could 30 person. Yeah, we want, yeah. No, it is now a massive operation that they cannot ignore. They would shake in them boots. They would shake in their boots. But as long as we remain the way they want us to remain, singing in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. Right now, we're just going to remain docile. We're going to block a few roads every now and again. We're going to go outside and chant, the salary too high for politicians for a few weeks, and then go back home, and they still get the high salary anyway, and we still have the potholes anyway, and we still have the burglar bars anyway, and we still have the bad service anyway. That's what they want. And as long as that happens, and then guess what they're hoping for? They're hoping that when we get mad, when we get fed up, when we get tired, we just go vote for the other side. And the other side come back and say, I feel with time now, time come, I feel with time now. And they go in and they do the same thing. Now we out. Yes, they come during election time and give you $1, but when you elect them, they're going to thief $1,000. So you get $1 and they rob you $1,000, because when they give you $1 today and you end up with 5 years of potholes that mash up your vehicle, 5 years of potholes that cause taxi don't want to turn up in a your lane, 5 years of inflation where the value of your salary is wiped out before you even get it. And then at the end of that 5 years, you're fed up and you're mad. Very mad. So mad, you say, Andrew must go. Sure. Mark time now. And in 5 years, Mark must go. Sure. Damien time now. And in 5 years, Damien must go. Sure. Tough time now. You see the thing? Yeah? Or they come to you and say, young people time now, white man time now, black man time now, woman time now. And you fool. You keep doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. Mr. Nelson, go ahead.
Well, you're giving me a belly full of jokes, man. But on a serious note, without a doubt, that's exactly what happens from time to time, and the same cycle keeps being repeated over and over. And I'm happy that the real time come, and the real time come is UIC, including every Jamaican, all Jamaicans, one Jamaica, a better system, a better way of life, and I look forward to that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I want the Jamaican people to understand that we have a solid plan for Jamaica. I did not give up the last 10, 12, 13 years of my life for us to have a gimmick and a game. The UIC is real. It's serious business. It's tough business. It's difficult business, because you have some very idiotic Jamaicans who will spend all of their effort trying to destroy something that hasn't cost them anything. The UIC has not cost you anything. Instead, a few of us have given up our time, we have given up our talent, we have given up our treasure to help you and ourselves. Because we're selfish, always selfish. I want a better Jamaica. I am selfish. I want a better Jamaica. I want a Jamaica that is safe. I want a Jamaica that is clean. I want a Jamaica that is orderly for me. And in the same breath, if I get it, you get it too. So this is good selfishness, because it means if I get my way of a safe, clean, and orderly Jamaica, if I get my way of a Jamaica where all of we can live, earn, and retire with dignity, then you get it too. So I want you to join me with your selfishness and say, listen, me want a safe Jamaica too. But I guarantee you, you will never get a safe Jamaica because you're asking criminals to give you a crime-free Jamaica. You're asking people who are expert at stealing, expert at conning, expert at deception, experts at fraud. You're asking them to give you a better Jamaica. But I must applaud the Jamaican people, because if you think about it, there's at least 60 to 70% of us who are turned off from the system. And I want to applaud you. There's 60 to 70% of us who do not participate in the fool by-elections that they have. We do not vote. 60% of us don't vote for them, which is good. That's a first step, but that cannot be the only step. You must make the next step now. And what is the next step? The next step is to say, yes, me now vote for them, but if I leave it, somebody will still vote for them. So even though me now vote for them, the 70 away, there's 100 away. 70 away, so we now vote for none of them. Good, that's the first step. But the 30%, the 30 away, we're going to vote for them. And that will legitimize them. Okay? So what you have done, you have made the valiant step, the positive step, the morally righteous step of no longer voting for them. That is very good. But you cannot leave it now to the 30% to vote for you. So what you have to do now, you have to get active now and say, now that I can't vote for them because me know so them wicked, me know so them bad, me know so them thief, and I've given them 80 years to prove themselves, but they have proven themselves incapable or unwilling to do what is right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give myself a chance and a choice. And me like them UIC people because them get up and I try something. And it's not a wishy-washy something. They have built a solid plan and a solid manifesto. They have a new system. They have new leadership. And that is going to give us a new Jamaica. So now let me join hands with them, volunteer with them, donate with them, and together now we can create the new Jamaica we want. We're going to mash up the system of colonialism, get rid of them old colonial constitution. That's where the idea of the fake republic for them have. And we're going to have a real republic, a non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. One where we separate the three branches of government effectively: Senate elected, executive elected, and representatives elected, independent of each other. We're going to have a 100% publicly funded system so that our politicians are not beholden to the PSOJ oligarchs anymore, and they're not controlled by party anymore. They can stand on their own 2 feet with the backing of their constituents and truly represent the Jamaican people. And that we want. And the UIC has taken the time without $1 of tax money to design and build this great system for our people. So why don't we take full advantage of that and become a part of the solution and no longer remain a part of the problem? Because voting for them makes you a part of the problem, and not voting for them does not make you a part of the solution unless you take the next step. Mr. Nelson, I talk too much. Your turn.
No. You're making some valid points, some strong points, because that's exactly what needs to happen. Everything in life is a system. The very essence of nature itself is that everything starts small, and then it grows and it grows, and it eventually triumphs into something wonderful, something powerful. And I think at the end of the day, that is exactly what's happening through the UIC. So I agree. Come, join, volunteer, and donate to the UIC, and let us together build a one Jamaica and overthrow the colonial parties.
So do me a favor, Mr. Nelson. Can you go through some of the comments on the side for me? There's a ton of them now. The whole heap of them on the side. I see Miss Primo making some good points here. She said, where is it? I saw one good point there. Well, I don't know if you can see. Can you see them on your
For
side?
whatever reason, I'm not able to see them.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She said here, will you, Mr. Patterson, seek to engage some of the diaspora organizations? Example, Jamaican Carlos or OJLDF. Will you come on Reason with Ratigan? I've been on all of those spaces already, Primo. They're all welcome here. Tell them to come over here. Tell them I want them to come on UIC Liberty TV, and we'll talk to them here. So if Ratigan want to come, we'll talk with him here. If Carlos want to come, we'll talk to him here. But I've been on all of their programs already, and I am very saddened to say that, in my opinion, many of these persons who run these various talk shows, these various vlogs, are simply interested in ratings, are simply interested in, they're not about building Jamaica. They're about saying whatever it takes to get and excite people and to get views and to get a money from the process. So they're not serious about helping Jamaica. They're serious about building their ratings. I don't know if you realize that Jamaica has never been short of talkers. Talk is the easiest thing. It's very cheap. And so think back to the days of Wilmot Perkins. Who else? Barbara Gluden, Ronnie Twigs. What's his name? Jerry Small. We have not been short, even Muta Baruka. We have not been short of these talkers. And they just go yap, 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 year after year after year. None of them ever create a real solution for the Jamaican people. They will talk, and then they'll just draw back when it's time to do anything. Here, for years now, a number of years, they have the UIC. All of what they've been talking before, the UIC cover that and more. The UIC does more than that. The UIC brings solution. So we have a solution to fix the corruption problem in Jamaica. All of them should be on their platform saying to their people, look at what the UIC has created for us. Look how the UIC has created a governance model that will solve every problem we've been talking about for the last 50 years. If you talk about the Senate, the UIC has a solution for that. You talk about prime ministerial overreach, the UIC has a solution for that. You talk about partisan politics, the UIC has a solution for that. You talk about the justice system failing, the UIC has a solution for that. And they cannot have a better solution. Oh, the freak storm is here now in my area. It's coming here now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really big now, coming through. So, and by the way, it's very serious. It's very, you see, it's ripping up. It's
Yes, I can hear it. I can hear it now.
Goodness.
I can hear it outside.
Yes, it is ripping through. I can hear my mashup greenhouse flying off right now. My door, I just heard the door going there. You can see the curtain behind me.
Without making light of the situation or anything. Without making
this
light
is
of
very, very serious. Very serious.
Without making light of the situation. I just want to say I hope that this is a part of the renewal and cleansing of Jamaica. So I'm hoping
absolutely
the freak storm will freak them out.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, this is serious. I hope it passes very quickly. But it's pushing open. I'm on the patio right now. It's swung open the door over there. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's actually ripping through my greenhouse over there. I'm hearing some shutters flying over there.
Yes, I can hear it. I can hear it from your background.
Wow. This is like a hurricane all over again.
Yeah, it's a rough season.
Oh my goodness. You should hear my trees. They're like going like crazy, like really crazy right now. I have some big trees. I don't know if some people have been to my property before. If they come here now, it looks like a bomb went off from the hurricane, because all my big trees, the tops have been cleaned off. They're broken down all over the place. There we go. My wife is doing some repair work over there to keep the door in, but look like it has passed now.
All right.
But I just want to say to my fellow Jamaican, I see the comments here. Another one says, another one here is saying, see if I can read this one here. Oh yes, all right, good. Look how many people trade in their votes and future during the last election for a plate of food or $5,000 to $10,000. Ignorance is the highest level. You see, what has happened is we have allowed, wow.
I heard that.
We have allowed those who are easiest to be bought in our country, we've allowed them to be the ones who decide our government. Those who are easiest to be bought, we have allowed them to decide our government. I hope you hear me carefully. So those who are so hungry, so financially depraved, so lacking in the wisdom to think and reason, we have allowed them to be the deciders of our election. So they get to decide who will be our government, while the majority of us are too busy, too afraid, too concerned about our small, limited position, not to realize the bigger loss to ourselves. This is very serious. Sorry, guys. It's like burial all over again. It's really, really crazy outside there. Yeah. So we have allowed those persons to decide. And I want to speak tonight to those of you who voted in the last election for either of these two parties, and those of you who are prepared to go again in the next election and vote for either of these two parties. You are responsible for the Jamaica we're going to have. When you go out and vote for these two parties, you are responsible, you are culpable, you are jointly and severally liable for the Jamaica that you are creating. My mother was a strong supporter of one of them, and I have had the privilege of being by her side, watching the entire process from I was a baby. I have been to their meetings. I've sat around their tables. I have heard their discussions. And I can tell you this, as a boy, I knew something was wrong with that process. I hear the discussion. They have turned us into enemies of ourselves. We have learned to hate each other because of them, when we should be hating those who enslaved us and the system that they have placed over us. Our hatred should never have been directed against our fellow Jamaicans. Our battle is not against each other. Our battle is against the system of colonialism and the colonizers. And by extension, anyone who becomes an agent of theirs. You cannot be a Jamaican who have heard the voice of a Malcolm X and a Marcus Garvey and then decide to vote for any of these two parties. Impossible. Because if you listen to Malcolm X properly, and if you listen to Garvey properly, you would know that any leadership that leads you to become dependent upon foreign masters is a leadership that would lead you right back into slavery. And right now, that's where Jamaica is heading. In a few short years, the majority of us, will own nothing in this country. And if you own something, they're going to push you off of it. They're going to tax you out of it. They're going to regulate you out of it. Right now, if you go to Santa Cruz, on every corner is a Chinese building going up. And I have nothing against the Chinese. The Chinese are not the problem. Your prime minister is, your opposition leader is, your governing party is, your opposing party is. They are the problems because they have created an environment that makes it easier for foreigners to come in and buy and own this country. The foreigners are not the problem. Your government is the problem. And whether you vote out Andrew and put in Mark, that will not change. And if the PNP change Mark and put up Lisa or Crawford, it will not change. And if the JLP get rid of Andrew and put Tufton or somebody else, it will not change. So don't hope for change to come from where change cannot come from. You cannot ask a fox to guard the hen house and expect your chickens to be safe. It's that simple. And we have been asking the fox to guard the chickens for the last 80 years. It's time for us to stop being chickens and rise up like eagles and take back our country now. And stop farm fool. Stop listening to foolishness about the UIC. The UIC is Jamaica's only alternative. Only. There's no other party out there that is developed, that is prepared, that is organized like the UIC. None. They try to destabilize us all the time. And we keep overcoming. In 2018, when I and my wife and Mr. Grandison and Mrs. Grandison and Janet and others were fighting to create the UIC, the government and the opposition through the ECJ was fighting to stop the UIC. And we persevered and we became Jamaica's first non-colonial party to ever be registered in this country as a political movement. We have taken up where Marcus Garvey ended. They stopped Marcus Garvey in the 1930s. They oppressed him and suppressed him. And even though there's a party today which goes by his name, it's nothing like the party he created. It doesn't have the backbone, it doesn't have the spine, it doesn't have the leadership, it doesn't have the direction, it doesn't have the policies that would fix Jamaica. So it's a joke to talk about that's a party. It's not a party. Unless you're talking about a fun party that you go and have fun. But it's not a political movement that is equipped to do what needs to be done. So forget about the Marcus Garvey party. It's the UIC party now. Marcus Garvey yesterday is the UIC today. And then there are a bunch of imposters out there who are concocting all kinds of things, trying to borrow here and there from the UIC with some talkative folks who don't have a clue what they're talking about. They don't understand the economy. They don't understand finance. They don't understand governance. They don't understand system, but they're out there farming fool because their only objective is to destroy Joseph Patterson and the UIC. They have nothing in place for the Jamaican people. No plan to fix Jamaica. All they want is to get rid of one man and one movement. That's their objective. They're not there to offer you anything but to make sure you stick with the two colonial parties that you know and trust. But I'm telling you today that you have the power in your hand to bring about real change in Jamaica. And that begins by doing three simple things: joining, volunteering, and donating. Let me explain this to you. There's no party in the history of the world that can succeed without money. None whatsoever. The question is where your money come from. Where, if for example, you're a candidate, let's say you're a candidate in a community running to win for that community. If your money come from the gang leader in the community, what you're going to do when you're elected? If the gang leader, the Don, the Prezi in the community him determine if you win or lose. What kind of leader will you be? You will be a puppet of the gang leader. If the gang leader fund you, you don't work for the people, you work for the gang leader. Yes, you might pretend, you might get him a book, buy a book, pay for some book on the book list for one person. You might buy a sheet of zinc for some. You might give a bag of cement to some. You might give some fertilizer to another or some hog feed to another. It doesn't mean he's working for you. He's just placating you. He's buying you. He might friend you up to keep you happy in your misery. And then now, the policies and laws he makes or the representation that he gives is in order to further the interest of the gang leader. Now let's make that national. Who is the gang today? The gang today in Jamaica is the PSOJ oligarchs. That's the gang. It's a gang that wears nice shirt and tie and jacket. It's a gang that sits in nice boardrooms with mahogany tables and chandeliers. It's a gang that drives beautiful vehicles. It's a gang that when you see them, they look upstanding and they can cut ribbons and look good. And so you think that's a good gang. No, it's a bad gang. Because that gang is going to make sure that your road not get fixed properly, your police don't work properly, your economy doesn't work for you. That's the kind of gang that you have. And when that gang funds your party and that party they win, the party now work for you. The party is working for that gang. And for 80 years, those two parties have been working for that gang. So what do you expect? The result is going to be to make the PSOJ oligarchs richer. They're going to get richer and richer, and yes, they can hire you and pay you minimum wage. They can hire you and pay you less than you should be paid so that they get the premium. So if you go to America or Canada or England, the same job, you get 4 times the amount for it, and here you get 1/4 the amount for it. That's what the gang does. Over to you, Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, 2 things. The first one is I want to touch on a point that you made in the sense that the UIC is definitely for replacing the Marcus Garvey Party. And one of the things that the people need to understand, right? If every year we're complaining about the GLP and the PNP and so on and so on and so on and every kind of P, we need to realize that all of us, UIC is about all of us. It is the People's Party. It is truly the People's Party. But I must say to everyone that the UIC must win. You know? The UIC must win, and the UIC is not going anywhere. And when the UIC win, we're going to shame them. All the political pundits, they're going to jump on the wagon because they're bandwagonists. And they are going to say all the nice things of what the UIC is now bringing to Jamaica in terms of uniting Jamaica, making it one Jamaica. And we're going to shame them. I say to all Jamaicans, the UIC is not going anywhere. Because the UIC is the only option, the only hope for a better Jamaica.
I want to broaden the conversation a little bit now because we're talking a lot about the micro element called Jamaica, but there's a macro element beyond Jamaica. In Jamaica, you talk about micro economics, for example, which is your household economics, how you earn and spend and take care of your family. And then if you look at the macro level now in Jamaica, you talk about nationally, what is happening nationally. But Jamaica is a micro element of a global situation. And the macro global situation is this. If you have a government that is not prepared to effectively plan, design, and manage your country to make you resilient in face of the global challenges, you have a problem. Because it means every global shock will hit you the same way as if you didn't have a government. And this is serious. Because right now, for example, in the American election, we should be very concerned about which of the 2 ideologies takes over America? Do you want to continue to have an what do you call the word now? Interventionist government that tries to, for example, force your government to force your people to become LGBTQ? Do you want to have a US government that will force your government to force your teachers to teach our children to succumb to the mental disease of not being sure of their gender identity? Do you want a global positioning where the monetary system is designed to inflate away your purchasing power so that every year you're falling further and further behind economically, even if you get a raise of pay? And so what I see in Jamaica is that we have a government, and always had a government, that is a puppet kind of government, a copy and paste kind of government. So whatever America says, for example, we do. If America said, teach your children that white is beautiful and black is ugly, we do that. If it says, teach your children not to become economically wise and technologically brilliant, we do that. We do not have a government that pays attention to what is really happening and saying, how do I safeguard my people from this? How do I educate my people to be aware of and respond appropriately to this? How do I build our human capital so that our people are intellectually, technically, academically powerful, so that they cannot be easily manipulated by anything, be it via TikTok or mainstream media or anything else? But instead, what we have is a government that is not of the people, by the people, or for the people, but a government which is of the colonial masters, by the colonial masters, and for the colonial masters. And so all that they do is designed to sink the Jamaican people to whatever level the colonial masters want, as long as the colonial masters attach a grain of loan or grant to the agreement. So if the colonial master says, I'm going to give you a few $1 million to make sure that you give up the rights of your people to decide their own direction when it comes on to dealing with a pandemic, or dealing with global economics, or dealing with the education or social order of your country, we're just going to do whatever you say as long as you give us some loans or grant. We don't have a government that knows how, or is interested in knowing how, to preserve our sovereignty as a people collectively. We don't have a government that even cares for us, the people, to know that we are sovereign individuals and our individual sovereignty is sacred, and that it's the job of government to protect that sovereignty. Instead, what we have is a government that would rather we believe that we are not sovereign, that we are subservient to some outside power, be it a queen or a king, be it white or whatever. As long as our people do not see themselves in the way Marcus Garvey wanted us to see ourselves, as sovereign individuals, powerful in our own right, and having the capacity to be as intelligent and as productive as any other race. Instead, we become licky, beggy, and dependent on everybody else. As a kid growing up, all I could hear is us cheering when our politicians come back with loans. We secured another IMF agreement. Yeah. Oh, we're getting a grant from China. Yeah. Somebody is donating some ambulance to us. Oh, that's all we want. So we have developed a nation of beggars, a nation of people who just want something for nothing. And the UIC said, it's time for us to end that. We must become a nation of producers, a nation of thinkers, a nation of innovators, a nation of creators. And we have it in us. They are just draining it out of us. They're just teaching it out of us. They're oppressing it out of us. And they're making us into nothing but docile donkeys just waiting for somebody to put a rope around our neck and a noose in our nose and lead us anywhere. And I'm tired of it. We're losing the value of our people. Our young men and women are lost. Look at them. Look around. They're walking aimlessly on the street. You see them, some of them who have a little job to go to, they look zoned out. You go into the stores and look and see many of our workers there. They're working in the Chinaman grocery store. They just look lost. Am I lying? Do you see it?
No, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I see it every day.
Lost. Many of them are going to the call center depressed. Their shoulders have dropped. Their heads are down. They have no hope. They're wishing and hoping for a visa to just leave this wretched country. Everybody, the majority. And I'm saying we don't have to be this way. We can be better. We should be better. And the time has come for us to be better. But we will never be better as long as we continue to trust those who are not to be trusted. How much longer do you want to be in a marriage where the husband is abusive, or the wife for that matter? How much longer do you want to be in an abusive, demoralizing, dehumanizing relationship with a government that doesn't care for you to have decent roads? A little hurricane come and you can't have water. Water don't run on lines. Water run underground. Water run in pipes, for Christ's sake. So if you don't even have light, you must have water, because every single solitary station, pump station, should have a backup generator. Every single pump station. So even if the light gone, you should have water. And the light shouldn't be gone for long. Why I'm saying this? I just went to Singapore the other day. I couldn't find, maybe I missed it, but I couldn't find any overhead lines. Because Singapore, which got independence in 1965, 3 years after us, from Great Britain, was smart enough to know it better to put the lines underground. So when the wind comes, like now, when the tree falls, like now, the lines are secured underground. And we would not lose electricity in the way that we have lost electricity now. That is forward thinking. That is UIC thinking. That is the kind of thinking we need to be running this country. Not these wishy-washy, worthless politicians that are there to line their pockets at our expense and telling us lies and talking about discount from JP. We don't want a discount from JPS. We want light. We don't want a discount. We want light. And we want light inexpensively. We want a forward-thinking government that would have created a massive solar energy, biogas energy, geothermal energy, co-generating system. That means we have alternatives and they're mixed together with hydrocarbon energy so that if one goes down, we have backup. Just like at my house here. I have light right now because I do for my little family enterprise what the government should have done for the entire country. When nobody here have water, I have water because what I did for my little family enterprise, the government should have done for the country. Most of the dams we have were built by the colonial powers when they were here, not by our government of the last 80 years. We're still using old infrastructure. We have not built a water harvesting structure across the country. Every year, South St. Elizabeth farmers are complaining about drought. Why? Because they do not have a government that cares, only a government that lies, a government that deceives, a government that divides, a government that tricks to hold on to power. And they know that after we find out that they're bad and vote them out, they just have to wait their time, bide their time. They're going to come back right around. See, we gave the PNP 18 and a half years. What did they do? Right now, the PNP should never be re-elected in this country. Never. How can you get 18 and a half years straight and Jamaica is worse when you finish than when you got in? Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, but and to add to that, not just the PNP should never be voted in for 18
No, I'm going to
years.
come back to the GLP after. I mean,
Yeah,
no, hold on. Let me tell you
because
something.
the fact of the matter is they were on the other side and they were complaining about the PNP, and they have come in now and they have come in with some of the worst scandals that we've seen for so many years. So it's ridiculous. I'd like to use, there's a famous saying analogy applied in men and women relationships, and I'd like to attach that to the present situation.
Yes.
Any leader can buy a bag of rice. Any leader can wear clocks and pose in it. But it takes a real leader to show you how to have a better nation and to actually do it.
Absolutely.
Time
Absolutely.
come. Time come,
Absolutely.
Jamaicans.
Yeah. And the, I just lost another tree. Now, I hear it over there. Oh, you heard that? It just
Yeah,
shook
it's
the
still going
entire.
on, eh?
It just shook the entire place. Where is this here? All right. So I just talk about the PNP for 18 and a half years. And I don't want my listeners, my viewers, to take what I just said lightly. No party in Jamaica has ever had 18 and a half years straight. No party at all has ever had 18 and a half years straight. So the PNP has no credibility, none whatsoever, to ever again be elected in this country, ever. Now, let's look at the GLP. The GLP has always been given the first chance in this country. In 1944, when we had the first election, they were given the first 2 terms, 10 years, 5 and 5. They were given the first 2 terms to give us a great Jamaica, starting in 1944, when we had the first ever election in this country. The JLP has always been given the first opportunity to set this country straight. And in 1944, and the second term after that, they failed. In independent Jamaica in 1962, again, the people turned to the JLP and gave them again the first 2 terms of independence to say, show us the new Jamaica. And they found out that the new Jamaica of the 1960s was the same old Jamaica of the 1940s under the JLP. That's 20 years they got. 2 separate terms. They got 20 years to create a new Jamaica and failed. But I want to point out something in particular. In the 1960s, the JLP got the biggest education loan in the history of Jamaica to build a massive number of schools across Jamaica. They thieved half the money and built half the schools. That one destructive act caused many Jamaicans to have to go to shift school, meaning instead of having enough classrooms to have a proper teacher-student ratio across the country, we had half the number of schools with twice the number of students, causing us to go to shift system. This shift system and the lack of adequate resources meant many Jamaicans did not get the education they needed to give us the modern Jamaica we should have today. But all of us had to pay back the full loan plus interest to this very day. That is the JLP. They should never, ever be elected again in this country. But worse than that, in the 1986 election, when the PNP boycotted that election, the JLP got 100% of the seats in the House of Parliament. 100% of the seats in the House of the Senate. 100% control of our entire government, which means they, like no other, had 1 full term to completely transform Jamaica from what it was to what it should be. And they left Jamaica deeper in debt, more corrupt, and more impoverished than before they came into office. The only thing they did that was good during that period from 1980 to their second term was that when they got elected, America released the loans that they held back from Manley because of his foolishness with socialism. And America released the grants that they held back from Manley because of his foolish diplomacy. And so all that money flooded into Jamaica and flooded straight into the pockets of the politicians. That was one of the most corrupt episodes in the history of Jamaica. They stole left, right, and center and made many fake millionaires. Many politicians became very wealthy under the JLP government because all that grant, all those loans that were withheld from Manley came flooding back into Jamaica and was stolen left, right, and center. So here's the problem we have in Jamaica. There are too many rich people who did not earn their wealth. They don't know how to earn. They only know how to gain from corruption. Their only expertise is not producing efficiently and effectively and exporting. That's why Jamaica exports 1/3 of what it imports. So we import $100 and export $33. Okay? You cannot run a country where you're always importing 3 times as much as you're exporting. That destroys the value of your dollar. That destroys your economy. And that's what these two parties have created. They are liars, they are deceivers, they are destructive, they are corruptive, they are the entire embodiment of failure for this country. And therefore, no Jamaican should ever wish to vote for, support, or volunteer or campaign for any of these two parties, because if you do, you're actually campaigning for your demise, your own destruction. Somebody said, I did not know Jamaica people abroad were so destructive and unwilling to build Jamaica until I asked them to help. That's what Celebrity Master Dub here says. Yeah, man, there are many Jamaicans abroad who are unfortunately committed to the maintenance of what is here in Jamaica. They want to keep their JLP party in power. They want to keep their PNP party in power and live the illusion that somehow those who have proven themselves, Mr. Nelson, they have proven themselves to be either incompetent or wicked. You pick one. So they're either incompetent, which means you need to fire them, or they're wicked, which means you need to fire them. But there's no way you can tell me that you have looked at the performance, and guess what they're going to say? Well, we don't have any option. You will never have an option if you don't create one. I know that. I was born to a poor single mother in downtown Kingston. And if I wanted to escape poverty, I would have to create my way out of poverty. And the same is true for our government. If you inherit a bad Jamaica, it's your job to give us a better Jamaica. Tell me if you agree, sir.
100%. 100%. And that's exactly what the UIC is about. It's the People's Party, as was mentioned before. So this is the only place. The UIC is the only place, the only platform in which true change, real change can come to Jamaica. You know what I mean? I challenge those journalists out there, Cliff Hughes and all those other journalists. I challenge you to bring the UIC into the spotlight, if you may, because we actually don't really need you to bring the UIC into the platform, because the people will bring the UIC into the platform. But I challenge you. I challenge all those journalists out there.
I mean, I am a very straightforward talker, so I don't and sometimes some people don't like it because I speak the truth and I speak it very straight. I honestly don't have time for the games anymore. I watched the game all my life. This year I'm going to be 53 years old. On August the 2nd, I'll be 53 years old. And my wife was telling me the other day, we're driving in a car, saying, my mother is her mother. is now 75 years old. And her mother said, the same thing when we see from a little girl for all my 75 years is the same thing in Jamaica today. And I'm 53 this year, and I'm seeing the same thing. And just in May, June, I went to Singapore because it's a country I really admire. And Lee Kuan Yew is my hero. And what I like about Lee Kuan Yew and the Singapore is that they had the courage and the wisdom and the stamina to create a country that they wanted, even though there was all kind of things around them that made it seem impossible. The same Cold War that Manley had to face, Lee Kuan Yew had to face it. Manley's approach was to say, I'm going to pick a side. I'm going to express my great love and admiration of Fidel Castro. And I'm going to say, nobody can tell me who I should keep as my friend. And I can align myself with anybody I want and then beat him chess. But at whose expense? Mine and yours. Lee Kuan Yew on the other side said, Mr. Soviet Union, I hear you about your plans and your concerns. But tell you what, I am willing to trade with you if you're willing to trade with me. How about that? Your problems and concerns, I will leave them with you. You figure it out with America. That way you can work it out. Then he goes over to Mr. America and says, Mr. America, I hear you with your concerns and your issues. I understand. But tell you what, I will trade with you if you want to trade with me. You want to trade with me? Okay, let's trade. You and Mr. USSR, you can work out your issues. And he just put down his head and focus on making sure that few people can read, few people can write, them can do maths, them can build, they can innovate, they can create, let them have clean roads. He made 80% of Singaporeans homeowners. By the time he left office after 31 years, more than 80% of the people of his country were homeowners. You hear me? They were homeowners. He made sure that the police service was efficient and effective at keeping the Singaporean people safe. So he made their environment very safe. He made sure that their school system was comparable to the best in the world. And so they had high quality graduates. The majority, while we failed the majority of our students, they were producing successfully the majority of their students. And so after 25 years, they moved from a third world country to a first world country within 25 years. So from 1965 to 1990, they became a first world nation. A government that is very low to no corruption, a nation that is very safe to almost no murders per year, a country that is very clean, a country which is very beautiful, a country which is very orderly, a country which became respected around the world, where every major company set up an office in that country. Every major company. They have one of the best airlines in the world, one of the most fantastic tourism product in the world, one of the best armies in the world, and yet still they're the size of St. Thomas. My God, Mr. Nelson, if them can do it, we can do it too. They had nothing more than we had. We have more than them. We had more land than them, more people than them, more creativity than them, more unity than them, because our people all spoke Patois and English, and they spoke all kind of different languages. And he had to say, no, we're going to make English the common language of the people. We're going to make sure every child learns proper English as well as their mother tongue. So if you come from mainland China and you want to learn Mandarin, no problem, learn Mandarin, but you must learn English properly. You're from Tamil, you want to learn the Tamil language, learn that, but you must learn English properly. You're from India, yes, but you must learn English properly. And so he insisted on making sure we had quality graduates. They had quality people coming out of their schools. What have we done in Jamaica? What have we done with our students? Every single solitary year, 70% or more of our students are failures. They don't have the requisite maths and English, and they don't have 4 or more meaningful subjects leaving school. That's what we have done. Now, I don't know about you, Mr. Nelson, but I can't bring myself to give any kind of applause to these 2 colonial parties that have done that to my people. They have robbed us, and they've robbed us blind for 80 years. Go ahead, sir.
Listen, Mr. Patterson, Jamaicans, through the UIC, Jamaica is going to become the envy of the rest of the Caribbean. Jamaica is going to become the envy of many nations across the globe. Now, you mentioned Lee Kuan Yew. That is the vision of a true leader. He wasn't thinking about his party or the pockets of his fellow politicians. He had a vision. That's what a leader does. That's what a true leader does. A true leader have a vision and put that vision into action. That's a true leader. He wasn't concerned about tribalistic politics. Wasn't concerned about special interest group, PSOJ, like we do, and so on and so on. And so I think that's the difference, and that's what the UIC is going to bring, and it's going to happen. Change is going to happen.
I want to just, somebody mentioned here, they said, Michelle White says they put sanctions on Jamaica because Manley wanted to nationalize all the country's resources. They scared Jamaicans into calling for American support by creating violence in the country. Michelle White, I want to use this opportunity to educate us now, because when we talk in Jamaica, we talk out of 2 mouths. We talk out of a comrade mouth and out of a laborite mouth. I wanted to talk out of Jamaica mouth tonight. Put away comrades and put away labor. And let's look at Jamaica. 2 leaders, Manley and Lee Kuan Yew, 2 leaders. They were both faced with the same existential threat. Both of them had to deal with the Cold War. USSR wants to push a totalitarian communist regime where things are centralized and government becomes God and control the life of the people. And the USA, which had a hypocritical democracy, hypocritical freedom, where they pretend to care about freedom and liberty, but what they care about is to control the national resources of other countries, particularly oil, and to maintain the oligarchy of their society. Okay? Those are the 2 conflicting bodies that are fighting here. Now, mind you, if you have to live in a world of either communist Russia or communist China, or a world of hypocritical freedom and liberty of America, your best bet is the latter. If you have to live into one or the other, because in the latter, you have some amount of freedom to have some amount of self-actualization, even though it is quite hypocritical and is actually playing games. But it's a dangerous thing to live under communist China or USSR, because you lose it. I mean, you lose it immediately, okay? You lose your right. But the issue here is 2 leaders, Lee Kuan Yew and Manley. The question is, what should those 2 leaders do facing the same existential threat? Lee Kuan Yew was extremely diplomatic, very creative at not getting in the crosshairs of the 2, playing them off each other without taking sides while focusing on building his nation. Manley focused on rhetoric. Manley beat him chess and talks about, you can't choose who my friends are. And he gets up and he does whole heap of speeches about, how you have the globalists doing this and this doing that, whatever. But at the end of the day, he picked a war with his closest ally, meaning Jamaica got most of its loans and most of its grants from America. How do you not carefully navigate that relationship? Most of your loans, all of your loans, the majority of your loans comes from America. Most of your grants come from America. You have not yet developed your local Jamaica to withstand any major withdrawal of those loans or grants. But you're going to behave in your diplomacy as if you don't need it. That, to me, is suicidal. He played that game, and we suffered the pain. We, the Jamaican people, suffered the pain. What he should have done is to adopt the Lee Kuan Yew approach and take time, draw your hand out of the mouth of the lion, and build up your country to the point where by the time America realizes how well you have done, you're a solid nation that can speak on the world stage and command the attention of others because you fix up a yard very well. Lee Kuan Yew fix up Theme Yard. So when Lee Kuan Yew goes to America, they invite him to come and speak to all of their major business leaders and politicians because he now commands their respect because he fix up a yard. Let us fix up a yard. Let's make sure that our kids are the brightest in the world. Let's make sure that our streets are the safest in the world. Let's make sure that our people are among the richest in the world. I'll give you an example. When Lee Kuan Yew took over, the GDP per capita for the Singaporean people were the same as the GDP per capita in Jamaica, between $550 and $1,500 back then. Follow me carefully. Between $550 per person, that's the GDP per person. They call it GDP per capita. $500 to $1,500 per person in Jamaica and in Singapore. When Lee Kuan Yew finished his first 25 years in office, that number was 18,000 to 20,000 US per person, while Jamaica was still battling with 2,000 to 2,500 per person. Today, they're over 45,000 per person, while Jamaica is still around 5,000 to 7,000 per person. Why? Because rather than being somebody who chat a lot and make big statements, remember in Jamaica, every year we're about to take off. Every time we have new election, we're going to take off. And them other promises, we're going to strike oil, we're going to build this, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, all kinds of grand announcements. And what do we have in the end? Nothing. Lee Kuan Yew focused on delivering. He delivered. When my wife and I was in Singapore just a couple months ago or a month ago, everything, roads, railway, ferries, airport, my God, their airport is to die for. They have the #1 airport in the world. Where is Air Jamaica today? Who's running our airports today? They're all owned by foreigners. So my friends, it is clear, we can't vote for them again. We cannot. And we cannot vote for the UIC if we don't make the UIC available. We have to make it. We have to own it. Don't be fooled by the idea that all it takes is for you to, I will vote UIC. Well, if there's no UIC, you can't vote for the UIC. So you have to say, I will make UIC. I will ensure I have UIC to vote for. And the way to do that is to join, volunteer, and donate. Not to me. Not for me. You're not doing it for me. I don't need it. In fact, I don't need any of this. I would be better off personally for the last 13 years if I just focus on me. My wife and I could enjoy a beautiful life in or out of Jamaica. So it's not for me. You're not doing it for me. You're doing it for we. We, for us. We are stronger than me. So you're doing it for we the people. You can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. None of we can do it alone, but we can do it for we.
$100%. Well said. Well said, Mr. Patterson. Well said.
So we're going to close off and let you go now, Mr. Nosy. Your wife must be saying, what's wrong with you? as is mine.
She's enjoying it.
She's enjoying it. Oh boy, I tell you. No, I mean, I don't come on very often these days. I used to do a lot more lives than I do now. I used to be on a whole heap more lives. I've done some 300 lives so far. More than that. I mean, I used to do lives before lives were popular. If you go back and look in the archives of Facebook before YouTube took off, I used to come on every Sunday.
Really?
And yeah, every Sunday and do a live way back in the Facebook days. And so they're all there, many, many lives on. So I've done maybe 1,000 lives or more, but 300 of them are on YouTube. But the bottom line is this. I just want people to understand that you're not doing Joseph Patterson a favor. You're not doing Mr. Nelson a favor. You're not doing any of the members of the UIC a favor. We are doing ourselves a favor. We're in this together. And, we're going to pass on. I mean, I'm 53 for crying out loud. I came back to this country at 40 years old. One of the few Jamaicans who are dumb enough to leave Canada or wherever and come back to Jamaica at 40. Most people come back at when they're ready to retire, where they have less energy and less strength. And they just come back now to enjoy the sun and the sea and, and spend their retirement income here in Jamaica. But I came back. Like yourself, Mr. Nelson, you came back to Jamaica as well. You didn't have to. You could stay and enjoy Canada. By the way, Canada is changing. Canada is becoming pretty bad today. I don't know why they have elected this socialist fellow. And people, let me be clear to you. I hate socialism. So I don't want to, I am very straight with you. I know what socialism is, right? Socialism is a system where you turn people into haters, where they hate rich people and they envy other people and they want government to go and take from the producers and give to them. We don't want a system like that. We don't want a system where the government go and redistribute wealth. We want a system where the government creates an environment where all of us can create wealth. And we must teach everybody to create wealth. We want a society where everybody understands the value of trading value for value. You must add value to society. You must learn something. Learn a trade. Learn carpentry. Learn plumbing. Learn electrical. Learn designing. Learn architecture. Learn engineering. Learn to be a technician. Learn to be a lawyer. Be a doctor. Be a nurse. Be a statistician. Be something. Don't sit there and want a government to take from somebody else and give to you. That is diabolical. That is sinful. Even the Bible said if you don't work, you shouldn't eat. So we don't want socialism. We don't want communism unless it's voluntary. It must be you and some people come together and say, we're going to share what. That's fine. But you don't want government to impose a commune on you. You want to have the freedom to associate. It's like Leonard Howell, when he went up there and he created the environment and a group of them come together and they plant and what. That's fine. That's communal. But you don't want a government having the authority to come and say, we're going to be a socialist country. That's dangerous. It may sound good on paper, but what you're doing, you're giving up your freedom. You're giving up your sovereignty, the right to choose, the right to have your own voice, the right to speak. You want to make sure you have the freedom to create, to innovate, to produce, to earn, to trade, and even to share. Charity is not charity if it is forced. Charity is only charity if you are freely giving. From the goodness of your heart, you're giving to someone because you want to, not because you're being forced to. So we don't want no force in this system. We don't want no fraud in this system. We want a system where every man and woman is a free moral agent. Me and you can choose to work together. We can be a partnership. We can have a joint venture. We can have a corporation, whatever, or be a sole trader. But you must be free to make your own choices. And you must not have the power of the state to say, go take what him have and give to me. Because remember, if you give the state that power, they might come after you too. So you might, when you're poor, you might say, I'm poor, someone wants socialism for them to go take from him and give to me. And you feel good about it. But later on, now him come take from you. Him come and say, listen, Yes, I'm the government, and I decide your food. I decide where you wear. I decide where you learn. I decide where you work. I decide where you live. And suddenly you realize that it's not so good after all, eh? You accepted it because of the free food component, the freeness component. But what you were giving up was your freedom. Never trade freedom for freeness. Never, never, ever trade your freedom for freeness. Not even for security should you trade your freedom. It's better for you to be free and insecure than a secured slave. You can always fight for your security. You can always defend yourself or form a militia or get a group of you and defend yourself, but never give up your freedom for anything. That's what our black brothers fight for. Sam Sharp didn't fight for socialism or communism. Paul Bogle didn't fight for socialism or communism. They fought for freedom. You're going to say to Mr. Patterson, are you a capitalist? What is a capitalist? If a capitalist is someone who wants you to have the freedom to choose, then yes. If a capitalist is what you think of it is, which is somebody who is involved in corruption and stealing and avarice, then no. So instead of capitalism, socialism, or communism, I opt for freedomism. If you want the ism to go by, I want you to be free. I want you to have a society where your life, your liberty, and your property are fully protected from all criminals, elected or otherwise. And there are two sets of criminals. There are criminals who are elected, like the ones we have in Jamaica, and then there are unelected criminals. Just like how there are also criminals in uniform and criminals outside of uniforms. Many of those in the police fraternity are criminals. They just happen to have on a uniform, and that uniform covers the veneer of their evil, and they get to use that uniform to carry out all manner of evil. Just like a doctor can be in a nice white lab coat, but he's not pure. He can be just as corrupt as somebody who has no white lab coat. Just like a person who may have a PhD or a master's, but they're just as depraved as somebody with a high school education or none. So none of those titles mean anything. What means something is your morality and your character. So you have many people who are not highly academically educated, but they have good moral standing. They have good characters. They're honest men and women of integrity who understand the value of working for what they want, of trading value for value with other people. Them not thief. They don't want government to go and take from somebody and give to them. They want government to give us a fair playing field, a just playing field, a good environment that allows us to go about our work freely and securely and efficiently. And through that, we can now earn what we need to earn to take care of our families. What say you, Mr. Nelson, before we go?
100%, 100%. Thank you for those who I was reading some of the comments, very supportive. So we encourage everyone to not just to support the UIC, but to become the UIC. You are the UIC, just as I am the UIC, just as Mr. Patterson is the UIC.
Yes. So somebody's accusing me now of parroting the lies of Mr. Siaga. Well, don't say it's lies. Come on the program. We'll happy to have you, Primo. Please see the number on screen to send a WhatsApp message and said, I would like to come in a debate or a discussion with Mr. Patterson and team to identify the lies that we're parroting like Mr. Siaga. I'm very happy to discuss it with you. By the way, I'm not afraid of nobody. So anybody who want to come on this platform here and challenge anything I'm saying, I welcome you. I don't want you to go out there and just spread little noise. Come on the program, to the number on the screen there, send a WhatsApp message and say, I want to come on and discuss or debate or challenge Mr. Patterson on what he's saying about whatever it is. So if you think I am parroting the lies of Mr. Siaga, come on this program here and let's defend that in a proper discussion here. Now hide behind some little comments on there. Come on the program and let's talk, because I'm not afraid. I know that communism is bad and evil and wicked. Any system at all that takes away your freedom of speech, which communism does. You know, in communism, they tell you, if you say this, they'll lock you up. Any system that takes away your freedom of movement, which communism does. They said, okay, we want to move people to live here or live here. You can't go there or can't go there. Any system that takes away your freedom of association, you have to watch your back, who you're talking to, because if you talk here, so you're working against the state and we're going to chop your head off or put you in jail or whatever. That's bad. Any system which takes away your freedom of choice, which is your economic freedom, that does not allow a free market economy where people can freely trade value for value, is a dangerous system. And that's communism. And socialism is simply a precursor to communism. I'm not parroting Mr. Siaga. I'm not parroting anybody. I'm telling you a fact. And I'm more than happy to show you how systems work, why communism and socialism are destructive. I'm ready and willing to show you that very clearly. I can walk you through all forms of governance structure and show you why these things are dangerous. And you must never allow yourself to be sucked into it because of the niceties that it tells you. They tell you, come into this and you'll get, onion milk and live on a cloud somewhere. No, you need to work your way through the process. If you take away my private property, my right to own property, then I become property. I become your property. And who will own us? When you say the government or the state or all of us will own this in common, then who owns it? Have you ever seen a community center which is owned by the community? Have you ever seen anything in the community? They said, this space is owned by the community. Do you ever see it in very good repair and well managed normally in any community? Just leave it up to the community. What happens to it? It's destroyed. The very people will thief the windows and the doors and the zinc, and it mash up. So there's a role for government and there's a role for the private citizen. The private citizen will take care of his private property normally much better than the government. And the government is to take care of the public systems and make sure that you have a good balance. So for example, none of us will want to own a piece of road out there that everybody drive on because you can't control that, right? So the government owns the road on our behalf. And then the government is to make sure the road is proper. And we all now must pay taxes now for that road to be maintained. But let's say you have a government that says, okay, some people mustn't pay taxes. Only some must pay taxes. We only want the rich to pay taxes. What will happen? What will happen? You're going to destroy the minds of the people because they now believe that they're not responsible for this road. They don't have a vested interest in this road because it's a free road. No, not free. But we want a government that teaches us, that educates us, that the road is our road, that we jointly and collectively pay for, so that all of us can drive on that road and get to our private dwellings. And when we cross the gate of our private dwellings now, we are responsible for the lawn, for the wall, for the floor, and for the roof. That's your job. And the way for you to take care of those walls and roof and floor is to earn. And so we, the government, will ensure you can go to work safely and come back home safely. That you can drive to work or take the bus to work conveniently and efficiently. And that if you get sick and you go to the hospital, you will have a hospital which is capable and able and equipped to mend you up so you can get back to your decent living. There's so much here. Mr. Primo, I'm going to invite you to come on to the program. And you have a whole heap of questions there for us to look at. So we will get to all of those. In closing, the UIC is for all Jamaicans becoming property owner. We want all Jamaicans to be property owners, right? And we're going to follow the model of similar to Lee Kuan Yew and make all Jamaicans property owner, because that is your right. And sometimes here's what happened with last point. We must never confuse bad policy for remedial action. So there's some remedial action we must take. The Jamaican people have been robbed of something. They have been robbed of their physical property since slavery. So good governance means we have to return this property to them. It's stolen by the colonial masters, stolen by the slave owners, and then subsequently kept by their two colonial parties. So they have withheld from you the land that belongs to your foreparents, that would have been yours if it wasn't stolen from your foreparents. So the UIC is going to return that land to you. We're going to make sure that you get back what was stolen. Now, don't confuse that now with, for example, socialistic ideals, which say you're going to get everything for free, because that's not the game here. What we're doing is returning to you stolen property. You see the difference? So we're not offering you to give you something for nothing. It's your own thing that was stolen from you. So let's make it simple for you. Let's say your grandfather had a piece of land in St. Mary, and some people came into the community and stole the land from your grandfather. Yeah. What should happen? That land needs to come back to you. So even if it's 20 years later and we discover the fact that it was stolen from you, then we need to return this land to you, even if it's 20 years later. So the same thing is true for the entire Jamaican population. The land was stolen from our ancestors, and it is our job when we form the government to redress that and get that land back into the hands of the people and out of the claws of government and out of the claws of the so-called crown, and from anyone who have participated in the theft of your foreparents' land. So I'll end it there for tonight, and I want to apologize for not having Mr. Sullpha on the program. He was supposed to be here but didn't show up, and hopefully we'll find out that all is well with him and that it it's just an accident that he's not here, but that he's well, and we can talk again sometime soon. Mr. Nelson, thank you for being here. Thanks again for joining me.
No problem. Pleasure's mine.
Tomorrow night we have some big topic coming up about who is controlling Jamaica,
right,
and the economy. And so you're going to be on together with what's her name, Miss
Walker.
Miss Walker, and a bunch of other folks will be coming on tomorrow night. So see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, right here, same time. All the best to all of you online. Thank you so much for joining us. And do have a good night and stay safe. All the best. One Jamaica, stronger together. Take care. Good night.